Hey guys, Brandon Zerby here, and for 99.99% of humanity, we never worried about getting this crucial vitamin because we were bathing in it. But over the past few hundred years, we've mostly escaped it except for weekend adventures, like me right now, chilling in my bedroom in this built environment. And if you think I'm talking about vitamin D provided by sunlight, you're close. I'm talking about vitamin N, nature. What I should have said was nature. So what kind of benefits does exposure to nature have on our stress levels, immune health, and cognitive health? And if it's really the environment that's providing these benefits, what are the mechanisms involved? What's the optimal dosage or time spent in nature needed to reap these benefits? And will I show you my secret source for this elixir of life? Ooh. Well, if I did, then I wouldn't want tens of my followers all flocking to this place at once, it getting overcrowded, the town having to shut it down, and then me never being able to visit this secret hiking spot ever again. So maybe I won't. Or maybe I will. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Let's get into it. When scavenging through the research, it was clear that there's a strong association between time spent in nature and psychological well-being. This includes everything from increased mood, happiness, and decreased stress, all the way to improved cognitive function like improved memory, decision-making, and creativity. It's also clear that there's a strong association between time spent in nature and the reduction of risk factors or burden of mental illness. This includes improved sleep and lower stress levels, which can lead to lower risk for depression, anxiety, and ADHD, but nearly all of these studies are association studies with nature, and association doesn't necessarily mean causation. It could just be that healthy people seek out nature rather than nature providing health benefits to people. It's just like how tutored students tend to receive lower grades than non-tutored students, but it's not like tutoring is lowering the students' grades. It's usually that the kids that are going for tutoring start out with a lower baseline with their grades to begin with. So just because there's a strong association between nature and health benefits doesn't necessarily mean that nature is causing the health benefits. And so it's why we need to understand the mechanisms involved with nature and look at some interventional trials to see how nature is directly affecting us. So in one interventional trial, they tested participants' cortisol levels, which can be a good gauge for stress. They then sent them out on a 2-hour hike in the morning and the afternoon, respectively. And afterwards, they tested the participants' cortisol levels again the next day, and they saw a significant drop in cortisol levels compared to before the hikes. And this drop in cortisol level lasted about 7 days before normalizing, indicating probably lower stress levels. But they also measured and showed an increase in the natural killer cell activity too. And natural killer cells are white blood cells that can kill off tumorous cells or cells that may have a virus, therefore indicating a positive immune response from exposure to nature too. But these interventional trials, they can be expensive and difficult to perform, especially when you're looking at lifestyle factors. But that's where observational studies can come in handy. So instead of having different groups of participants perform different activities and measuring the outcomes, what you're doing with observational studies is letting people go about their normal activities and then just observing their actions and the results. So in one observational study, they looked at patients who just came out of surgery. And some patients were in a hospital room that had a window looking directly out at a bricked wall, whereas other patients were in a hospital room that were looking directly out a window into nature. And what they found was that the patients who were looking out the window of nature had shorter post-operative stays in the hospital, they took less painkillers, and the nurses that were watching them provided less negative notes. What this indicates is that the mere presence of nature can help out with recovery and health too. And I mean, not only can a window overlooking nature provide these health benefits, but simulated green environments can be helpful too. So here, look at this picture from my hike. I'm improving your self-esteem and your mood right now. You're welcome. What are the mechanisms involved here? How is experiencing nature, seeing nature, or even viewing artificial nature improving our health? I mean, with the interventional hiking trial that I mentioned earlier that decreased stress levels and increased natural killer cell activity, what they theorized was that phytoncides released from the trees can actually go into your body, you breathe it in, and it lowers stress levels, and then that can help increase natural killer cell activity. In other studies, it may just be that more green space provides less polluted environments, or it may be that more green space allows for more physical activity like walking and cycling. Or it could be the complexity and patterns of the natural environment, or fractals. I mean, look at the pictures from my floor, wall, and ceiling of my apartment, and compare that to the same views in the natural environment. There's just so much more complexity in the textures, patterns, and shapes of the natural world compared to our built environment. Either way, it can be difficult to assess which exact mechanism is causing which exact health benefit because in most cases you're experiencing multiple mechanisms at once. And this can make it difficult to narrow down the effect, and it makes it easy to misinterpret the results. But no matter the exact mechanism, I think we can say that exposure to nature does improve overall health and happiness. So the next question is, how much exposure to nature should we get? What is that optimal dosage? And I'm sorry to say, but this is kind of hard to answer as well. So like I mentioned, for 99.99% of humanity, all we did was spend our entire time in nature. And so it can be easy to assume that the more time we spend in nature, probably the better the results. So in a multi-study analysis, dose responses showed large benefits from short engagements in green exercise, and then diminishing but still were positive returns after that. So from this, we can probably say that the largest benefits come from those first few hours experienced in nature. And the more time you spend in nature, the better the results, but probably just to a lesser degree. For me, my goal is usually to spend at least 1 hour in nature each weekend. I'll usually take a trip to Corbett's Glen, which is a great hiking spot where I can check out, wildlife, nature, there's streams, there's a big forest, and even pose kind of oddly in front of a teepee. What's kind of funny is this picture that I took, I was by myself, life of a solo creator, a couple walked by while I was taking it, was pretty awkward, but just had to keep it moving. So here are my final thoughts. It's hard to tease out which exact mechanisms are causing which health effects. It could be the aroma, intricate sounds, visual complexity, or the less polluted air. Or it could simply be that nature encourages more healthy behaviors like walking, running, and cycling. But more likely than not, it's a combination of all of these factors that can make nature, or vitamin N, our elixir of life. A vitamin that improves our cognitive function, decreases our mental stress, and improves our overall mental state. And the more you submerge yourself in it, the more benefits that you get. But even if you don't have tons of hours, days, or weeks to spend in nature, just those few hours a week, those few initial hours can have spectacular effects. But just don't spend those hours at Corbett's Glen because I got dibs on the TP. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. It helps out the channel and lets me know what kind of content I should be producing. Any sort of questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer all of those. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Lastly, I offer a free health kit, which has my top 10 sleep tips, 1 whole foods plant-based recipe, and mobility workout you can stream on any device. That is free. There's a link down in the description for that. It also gets you signed up to my weekly newsletter, where I provide the 3 most important things that I've read, watched, or listened to within the past week. All of that completely free. Link down in the description if you're interested in that. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.